Alright, let's talk about the new endgame mode, Whimpering Wastes. How it works, how to beat it, and the problems with it. What is this mode? So basically, it's like kind of a little horde mode. You do waves. There's waves of enemies that you have to beat. There's a bunch of enemies that gather up and you just kick their ass, and then it goes wave by wave. And you have to reach a certain amount of points to get a certain score. There's B, A, and S tier. You got 2 teams on each side that needs to do these waves. You got certain buffs and stuff like the environment report glacial spectral damage are increased by 10%. This is the earlier stages. The earlier stages are very easy, but it gets a little harder in 9, 10, 11, and the infinite one. So you get buffs in the environment thing. Energy regen is increased by 50% and liberation amplified by 10. And then on each side you have, when entering the challenge, you get full concerto energy on the first half, or the second half gets full energy. And then of course you got some enemies that are glacial resistance, so you have to play around that as well. And then spectral resistance, stuff like that. The other thing with these are these tokens. Now, for the blue rarity and the green rarity ones, they're infinite uses, and they buff your damage pretty good. Like, you get elemental damage buffs here, and then you have these flags that can increase crit damage, and then up until that point you have a bunch of these purple rarities and then these gold ones that have limited uses. All right, so when I first did this, I didn't really use them at all because I was trying to save them for infinite torrents. But the cool thing in infinite torrents is that the tokens have unlimited uses. So you don't need to be worried about that. You can use the limited ones in these stages. I would recommend 9, 10, 11. They can buff your damage really good and help a lot. There is an exquisite one here that says summons an echo to support you in combat. It does not take damage from the resonators. I don't know where this one unlocks at. I have no idea where. Yeah, that's essentially how it works. I mean, there's no bosses in this. It's just a bunch of enemies. That's how it works. Now, how exactly do you beat it? I will say it's not too hard in survivability terms. It's actually hard to die, I would say. If you die, then, you know, maybe that was just a fluke and you messed up doing something, but you're not really going to be dying in this. I mean, I was jumping through this with like level 60 supports and stuff, and I was just fine. Yeah, so on survivability terms, you're good to go. Since this mode wants you to clear these waves, because it is a wave system, you got to reach a certain amount of points, and you want to reach S rank, ideally. You have to have a good enough team to be clearing these waves. So what is going to be the best? AoE characters will be the best. If you don't have AoE characters, you're shit out of luck. Okay, now if you have a quick swap team like Carlotta and Chong-Li, they can work because they're just going through using their ults a lot, and their ults have a good area of effect as well, but it's nowhere near as good as characters that have good AoE like Camellia, Gion, Phoebe for that matter. So yeah, if you don't have AoE, it really is going to be a struggle. Shangli Yao would work really well, but you're going to have to end up building characters like Yang Yang, Jansen maybe, just to help with the suckage. Yeah, not only do you have to play around AoE, you have to play around the electro resistances of enemies, or elemental resistances in general. Overall, you're gonna need AoE. If you have coordinated attack characters like Yinlin and Zeshi, maybe if their coordinated attack damage is good enough, then I can see that working. Yeah, what is infinite torrents? Infinite torrents is basically just infinite waves, right? You get unlimited uses, and even though it says damage taken by enemies is also increased by 50%, and the enemies are level 100, survivability is not that bad. To be honest, it really isn't. It shows that the enemies here are level 90, but they were level 100 when I hopped in. Again, if you don't have AoE, you're gonna have a hard time with this. The rewards are really good in this. They are. You get a good amount of pulls here. Forbidden Waters doesn't reset, I think. Respawning ones are the ones that reset on a monthly basis. But yeah, that's overall how you're gonna have to beat it. Definitely recommend, again, AoE, and don't be scared to use these limited tokens in here, since infinite torrents has unlimited uses, so you're gonna have to play around with this. If you want to return the uses, all you got to do is reset. Yeah, yeah, it'll go back. And also, they got a popular teams here. This probably won't pop up yet, but at some point they will. So if you want to just look and see what people are using, then you can use that. Now, what are the problems with this? If you could already tell, AoE is a big problem. And it's not just the fact that you really need AoE. Even then, some of the enemies in this game literally don't like coming to you. Like, I had this one wave where this hat, the one-eyed hat guy, literally walked away from everybody else. It was dumb. Okay, the enemies spread out so crazy. It's still absurd even with an AoE team. I feel like what they should do is reduce, because a lot of them do spawn per wave. So I feel like they should extend the time limit and the amount of waves itself to reduce the amount of enemies per wave. You understand what I'm getting at? Sometimes there's just a little too much and they spread out so fast and it's very stupid, especially when you start juggling them or using echoes. Some echoes will literally make them fly away and spread out, like the bird, the heron. Doing that echo skill will literally flop them around. Very dumb. And then I had another instance where there was these 3 bears. These bears spread out real fast too. And then at one point, they just stopped moving and just stood up. They just stood up and weren't doing anything. That was really stupid. I do think this is a nice addition overall. I do like the idea of the wave system, but I think they just have to work on the enemies in here. I was expecting bosses in this, but there wasn't. The most you'll get is elite enemies, like bears, these rocksteady guys. When it comes to those guys are actually very easy to deal with. There's only like 3 of them from what I've seen at a time. Overall, it's a nice addition mode. My only issue is with the enemies and them spreading apart. If they reduce or fix that a little bit, then you won't have to worry about AoE nearly as much, right? If they did that, I feel like my quick swap Carlotta team would work a lot better or something. I guess another thing is this mode doesn't have its own shop yet. Like, you know how we got, shops for the adversity, you get the hologram shop, and then you have the new hologram shop. It doesn't have its own shop here yet. I think it definitely should, but other than that, it has good rewards. If you do have AoE, it's not too hard to beat. Again, survivability is not an issue. It's just your offensiveness needs to be really good. Yeah, that's basically how it is. Let me know what you guys think down below. If you think this mode has any other problems with it, let me know about down below. Let's discuss this mode. And yeah, but overall, I do think it's a nice addition. I'm glad we even got a new endgame mode in general. I think that's huge. Let me know your thoughts down below. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.